Welcome everyone, I'm Mr. the Hero, doing enjoyed by Pink, and this is the Shut Your Mouth Lounge episode 252.
I thought you said it was 251.
No, that was last week.
Oh.
So yeah, Pink, anything coming out on your
Yeah.
channel?
Yes, I got New Vegas working mostly, so there's gonna be more New Vegas stuff coming out on the channel. And that will probably lead into the Fallout 3 releases. And I think next week is Halloween. Let me double
It
check the
is, well,
calendar.
it's not last week or next week, it's the Monday 2 weeks from now.
Okay. So yeah, not this upcoming Monday, but the Monday after this next Monday, that'll be Halloween, and that's when my Fallout 2 fail through is gonna go up.
Ah, nice.
So not quite coming out this week, but
Close enough.
like 8 or 9 days, so yeah, close enough. And Dead by Daylight obviously gonna still be coming out on the channel, and I think that wraps everything up on my end.
Alright, well as for my channels, I'm actually canceling the shit I've been working on, cause, the YTPs, well let's see, I had the Sonic one, didn't really come together. It was mostly just reruns of jokes that I made in the first one, and at that point you can just go and watch the first one. I don't need to make that, you know?
Right.
Then the other one I was working on, uh, this anxiety got to me because like you know the Sonic ones and like whatever other ones I may do in the future as well. Like I'm gonna assume they're mostly gonna be focusing on like corporations, you know, big corporations who don't give a shit because YTP jokes wouldn't come anywhere near close to ruining their reputation or whatever, because who gives a shit?
Right.
But the source that I chose or that I tried to work with is from a, I guess, like I don't want to start call them a startup company because they've been around for like 10 years apparently, from what I remember, but whatever. But you know, basically like a smaller company, and the guy who owns the company also runs the channel, and is also the main presenter. So it's a thing of like, yes, I could technically make fun of the guy, even though like it's out of love because I love the channel. But at the same time, you know, I don't want to make fun of him enough for it to seem like a threat to his livelihood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I probably won't be going forward with that one, because you know, I don't wanna burn bridges accidentally just because you know I wanted to make a funny.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the Sly Cooper review. With that one, I realized a very big reason that I haven't been able to make scripts that I found satisfying, and that's also why I'm canning that one. Because you see, one of the reasons that I guess I haven't been making reviews at all is I just don't really have much to say. Like usually when I have small tidbits to say about a game, I just say it on here, and then the stuff that I could dive into deeper, or rather, how do I put this? Like a lot of the games that I play are well-known games. People look at it and they go, "Yes, I know what this is. I know how this works." Like usually you don't need to explain how, you know, Mario 64 works or stuff like that. Sly
Yeah.
Cooper 1 is very close to Mario 64 because it came out very shortly after. Well, technically, whatever. It not that shortly, but whatever. Who cares? Either way, like Sly Cooper is very similar to Mario 64 and all of his contemporary platformers and stuff like that. So like you can look at Sly Cooper, the first one, and just, you know, figure out most of the mechanics, and then the stealth stuff is explained in the game. Like you just need to like look at a playthrough and you will understand how the stat mechanics work as well.
Yeah.
So going into detail into how it works and stuff like that doesn't really warrant a video, because everyone already knows, or you know, the vast majority of people already know how the game works, and you know, I could give my opinion, but like My opinion is I like game. Like, okay, like I can tell you why I like the game. That's the a lot of the script was that, but like, it's just I like how the game looks. I like how the game sounds. I like how the game plays. Wow,
Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
trending. So for that sort of stuff, like I don't see a reason. I don't know. Like I don't. It is probably of a partially the problem that WR keeps bringing up that I'm too critical and stuff like that. That may be a source of this problem as well. I don't know how to break from it, but until I can,
Right.
I can't really just like make videos about whatever. I have to actually choose, which will be a harder part. So I have chosen that if I am going to be making reviews going forward, I will try to do it about more obscure titles because then it makes sense that I would explain how the game works. You haven't fucking played it. For
Uh-huh.
example, one of the games that I thought about doing a review now about now is Connect Tank. Have you even heard about Connect Tank?
I have not.
My point exactly. It's an indie roguelike puzzle game,
Ah.
and so for this stuff, I can tell you about the things that I like with the surface amount of level that I can describe them, and then I can go into detail about how the game functions, and that will be more useful for content than just me saying, "Hey, I played Sly Cooper for the first time. It's cool."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's pretty much where stuff has been. Aside from that, I've been a lot of my editing time has been taken up by Hollow Week, so it couldn't really focus on my own channels for that. And speaking of Hollow Week, it's fucking coming up. Starting on Monday.
Oh yeah.
Starting on Monday, you will have 5 videos coming out. Then we'll be taking two days of a break because schedule stuff happened, and
Yeah.
after that,
Yeah.
Sonic. And let me tell you, Sonic this
After.
year, let me tell you, Sonic this year wasn't.
It certainly wasn't. We'll just re-upload our old Sonic videos so they won't notice.
I mean, technically, we have a video out of it. It's just barely existent. Like if you scroll up the thumbnail I made for it, I tried to convey that it barely exists as a video. It
That is true. Yeah. It was on its way to becoming a full-fledged video, but alas, was not meant to be.
yeah. Although given the trial thing that we did with Nekojishi and that game where W and I had half an hour to record. And actually, W and I had 25 minutes to record, and then
Oof.
he got into trouble for not killing mice.
Oof.
Yeah. So like those made me realize that like uh the 30-minute thing that I had thought up for the channel wouldn't work that well because you need at least an hour to actually figure out what a game is about.
That is true. For the most part.
I mean, we went overtime with Nekojishi, and that was 40 minutes for the first scene. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then with Sonic, W and I didn't even get out of the tutorial. So, like, that's the reason I'm like, okay, so we did this video for this year, so we can have a Sonic video. We'll come back to Sonic Forces later. Like, I want to revisit a couple of games, namely Unleashed, that eventually, once we've done the rounds, and there's no more new Sonic games being released, at least momentarily. Which I mean, Frontiers is right around the corner, but
That is true. That is true.
so I figure once we're done doing the rounds, going the first time over the games, we'll just like go back and do an actual session of Forces. Maybe try to get Space Harrier in Unleashed
I
and stuff
like
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
And then let's see, is there anything? Well, okay, yeah, I guess I'll list all of the game or all of the videos coming out for Hollow Week. So we have Nekojishi starting off on Monday. Honestly, one of my favorite videos in the whole week. Like the amount of effort we had to put in mechanically wasn't a lot. And we had to put in a lot more effort into voice acting. But it was one of the more fun videos to shoot this year to me. Like in the past like 3 years, honestly.
Oh yeah, I had fun with it.
Then we have, I believe, Plants vs Zombies. Following that up,
Nice.
after that, you can see W fighting death for all eternity in Castlevania. And after that, Darkest Dungeon. Yes, the Pillar Man Rise.
I like it.
And then the penultimate video for Hollow Week this year is Siren, which was also like Dekojishi and Siren were the highlights for the past like 3 or 4 years for me for Hollow Week. Like, Siren was Siren was great because W saw like W seen the first couple of levels, but forgot most of them. Aside from the what he played of the first level, I have seen a couple of playthroughs of the game, but all of the information I remembered were all over the place, and we didn't even touch on 90% of it. So both of us were going into it blind. All that we knew that it was a game made by the same team that made Silent Hill,
Oh.
and it was very janky.
Oh.
Like I, so I can explain to you how janky the game was with 2 words. I think inverted flashlight.
That sounds terrible.
Yes, I had to go into the settings. Thankfully, they had the option to change it.
Hallelujah.
The best part is, and I pointed this out in the video, but my favorite part of that whole thing is, you go into the settings. You're like, okay, I need to invert the camera. You go into the camera settings or whatever the I feel like that it had its own option, but I don't remember. Whatever. But I go to the option, and it says inverted, and like if and the opposite, the one that is the way that I prefer it is called normal. And why the fuck is inverted the default? If you call it
That
inverted,
is a good question if you're naming the non-default normal,
yeah.
whereas the default is inverted. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
But yeah, that game was also very nice. And that's about it for the upload stuff. So, Pink, what have you done this week?
What have I done this week? Let's see. First of all, I spent a lot of time with New Vegas trying so very hard to get it to work with OBS because it worked like a dream the first initial time. Then I mentioned last week how every subsequent recording after that it would record like the first 3 frames and then stop, and it would record the audio just fine, but it wouldn't record any video.
Yeah.
So
Pink, I may
I
have a fix.
well, I am open to it because I got it to work kind of. I have it to where now it records, but the first 3 or 4 seconds of the recording are black, and then it kicks in like normal. And I don't know why that happens, but that's what happened with the quote unquote successful recording. So that's what I'm dealing with right now.
Alright. Well, I had an idea for what might fix this. Like, because both you and W have recording problems with stuff like this. And I had reached an idea. I'm not sure if it's good, but I think it would be beneficial in the long run anyway. So, every time we record something from console, y'all can't record it because it's on a capture card, or you would need a capture card.
Right.
And sometimes there's these problems with OBS or when the game not being compatible completely natively.
Right.
What port are you using to display the video from your PC?
HDMI port.
All right, buy an Elgato. Buy a fucking capture card. Plug your PC into it. It has a true.
Would like how does that help it though?
Well, the PC game compatibility stuff wouldn't matter because the Elgato stuff is always displaying your full display. It's always the record or it would be displaying it, and if you press record, it would be recording the full display. So if you play a game in full screen on the monitor that that you have plugged into the Elgato, then the game will be recorded full screen with the Elgato. And it doesn't matter if OBS recognizes it as a game or not, because Elgato takes care of that.
Ah, I see.
Like you wouldn't have to fuck around with like, okay, so this game has like visual glitches when I use the game capture, but not the window capture. This game is a black screen. That game is a like all you would have to fuck around with is syncing up the visual and the audio, and even that I don't think is a problem on the newer ones, which are the only ones they sell. Like the one that I have has been phased out for the past 5 years, I think. So
All right.
So, realistically speaking, you wouldn't have any real drawbacks aside from cable management. And then as a bonus, if you want to record something from a console, you just plug the console in instead.
I like that.
Now, the only problem with that is that I got those are like $200 somewhere around there, but still, like it's still a thing of like, well, you're investing into something so you can record everything, and you can record PC easier. So it may be
Yeah,
worth considering.
definitely. Cause yeah, there are plenty of Xbox games that I'd like to record, and it would be nice to have an Elgato. Definitely.
Yeah, I can look into which ones are good. I mean, it's a thing of like I can tell you what people are using, and I can tell you what I think would be good. But honestly, it's just like buy the cheapest one, and then if you don't like it, if something really pisses you off, then buy the next one up. Continue until you are satisfied,
Ah,
unless otherwise specified. Because like for me, the most logical step would be to buy the most expensive one. But that's not because the most expensive one is necessary for my, or well, it's not necessary for my videos. It is necessary for my hardware, because you see, the most expensive new Elgato stuff can record 4K at 60 FPS to an SD card. This is important because it skips the PC entirely. Thus, no drops frames or any of that sort.
oh,
So that would be good because then I wouldn't have to buy a new PC, or well, I wouldn't have to look into buying a new PC for thousands of dollars, so I can record games at a higher resolution without frame droppage.
yeah.
But aside from that, I have no fucking reason to pay money for it, so I haven't. Like, not to mention that it's $1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like it's a thing of like, realistically speaking, it's better for me to get a better PC and just get a slightly better Elgato later, that it actually covers what I need. But the easiest step would just be to skip everything and just be like, okay, so PC doesn't record anymore. Cool. But yeah, I can look into that for you if you want, because like I spent fucking years looking under, like looking at up whatever the fuck this shit does, and even I don't understand it really sometimes. On the bright side, though, you would be able to record. Well, you could do it right now anyway, but whatever, fuck it. But you would be able to record the audio on the separate channels like I do, because I do it with the Nakato software.
Ah,
The thing is, you could download that software right now for free and just use it.
I see.
Like you don't need an Nagato for it. It's just you don't really have a reason to download it right now, or
Yeah.
aside from the split channel stuff. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, your week.
My week. what all did I
You were
we
talking
were
about
talking
how
about Fallout because I was having the
yeah
issues with OBS. That's why I got put
Fallout
on
and
that.
recording issues. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. What else did I do? Nothing out of the ordinary. I played a game of Byzantium in Civ 5. Had a lot of fun with that. Got a diplomatic victory. Played a lot of Dead by Daylight. Had a lot of fun with that. It's very Halloweeny. I struggle to think of anything else nifty I did this week because a lot of my week was spent trying to keep plants from dying because we had a cold snap. One could say it was a what do you call it? The frost. It temperature dropped to like 23 degrees, so that frosted outside, and we had to build a makeshift greenhouse with a chicken coop and some I don't know protective. What do they call it? It's like a think of like a screen type thing, not like a television monitor, but like
Yeah,
a
like
screen door.
yeah,
So
like a PET film or something like that.
yeah, except it's like a laminate plastic, I would say. So yeah, we just put a put the blah put the plants into the chicken coop, threw the plastic sheet over it, and boom, it was a greenhouse. And then for the
Nice.
stuff that was already planted in the ground, we put some little bamboo skewers out there. Uh, kind of like those pool floaty type tube things.
I think so.
Yeah, the foam tubes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We chopped those up, put those on top of the bamboo skewers to prevent them from tearing through the plastic, and then threw those on top of that, etc. So yeah, a lot of my week was spent outside doing yard work, trying to prevent the plants from all dying on us through the cold.
Yeah. But
And
when you said you were trying to keep the plants from dying, I was like, so you played a lot of Plants vs Zombies?
kind of no zombies, just a lot of cold. But yeah, it's kind of thematic, seeing how we got Plants vs Zombies coming out. That was a
Yeah.
fun recording. Um, yeah, that was the bulk some of my week. It was a lot of outdoor yard work, trying to keep things from dying. No zombies, thankfully. If there were zombies, I'd probably just tap out. Like, no, that's too much work. You're asking too much from me. But
It's fine to just surround yourself with war plants.
more plants. Yes. Um, outside of that, though, I don't think I did anything fun or noteworthy this week, unfortunately.
All right. Well, as for me, what the fuck did I do? Uh,
That's a good question.
well, for one, my PS Plus ran out, which is why we have the Sonic recording we do. but that has been since been re-upped for another month. The
Oh,
next
nice.
crisis, next see you next crisis next month.
Next crisis.
Uh, that's a quote from Marvel.
Is it?
No, but it could be. Like
That
it
should be a DC quote though, because they're the
yeah
ones who
they
have all the crisis on dot dot dot.
yeah I just remembered after I said it that they're the crisis people, the DC side, but then they don't have them as frequently, do they?
No, not really. Uh, the big crisis events were over in DC from 1984 up until 2007, I think, because in the I want to say after the massive success of Crisis on Infinite Earths, they would kind of do a crisis event like every 3 or 4 years. And then once the new millennium hit and crossovers were just completely abundant and all over the place, DC did one more final crisis, quote unquote, to kind of put the cork on that bottle for a little while because it was kind of just at this point ironic that they were running a crisis event like every other year. So they kind of try to put the magic back into the hat so the next time a crisis event would happen it would actually mean something, whereas the previous 4 or 5 meant nothing. So, in trying to make the crisis events special again, they kind of the final crisis they did in 2000. Oh, what year was it? I'm gonna guess it was 2005, but they try to play it safe enough, but have enough changes that it felt important, but also didn't feel the need to drag on for several years.
Yeah.
It was a year-long event, if I'm not mistaken, and that was it. And then I believe that nobody liked it. Everybody hated it, and I don't recall if they've ever revisited any crises since then. But they more or less still do their big crossover events in the same style as a crisis style comic crossover. So while they might not call their big events Crisis on, etc., all their writings are still very much in that same style. I think they just try to shy away from the name because the Crisis brand, quote unquote, is kind of looked at as nothing more than a cash grab. So yeah, I think that's the
Yeah,
story with
I
that.
mean, when the only thing people ask is, but can it run Crisis? And that's the only time when it comes up, then, you know. But yeah. Uh, I went back and played a bit of Biomutant. The game still,
Nice.
yeah.
I said nice.
Ah, the game still astounds me in how it is like the antithesis of what I should enjoy, and yet I still enjoy it regardless. The game's story is nigh non-existent. It's a looter game. It's an open world RPG. How do I
Okay.
like this?
Yeah.
And yet it's like really it's a thing of I think like well the game has a bit of a like a toxic punk aesthetic or something like that. I don't fucking know. So it's like post apocalyptic with vibrant colors and all that.
Yeah.
It's also gross out because you know that every punk aesthetic has to be gross out, all of them. But
Sure.
but yeah, and that and also like the way they handle the world, because there's still many things left around from you know the just the normal world, but they all have different names. Sometimes they didn't couldn't come up with anything good, but still it's like you know they're not dumbbells. They're not dumbbells. They're arms flexors. Or no, it's guns flexors actually.
Guns flexors?
Yeah.
All right.
Or like I'm trying to remember what other dumb bullshit like that there is. The enemy names, there's like bosses, random or mini bosses randomly strewn across the world that just sometimes find you, and they're all their names are their names feel randomly generated because it's just like plaf. The only the only ones that don't feel like that are the actual like big bosses of the game, which are called puffs.
I like
They are the magic dragon.
it.
Uh, yeah, that's probably all I can really say about Biomutant. Then I started up God of War, the first one. It's a game.
That game sucked.
Yeah, it has its moments that I like, or it has its parts that I like. I guess is a better way to put it. I like the camera. I am nostalgic for the camera because not because nothing does the cinematic like well like I don't even know what to call it because technically cinematic is fitting, but I don't know if I'd call it that. But whatever. Like nobody really does the fixed camera angles that sometimes swivel and follow you and stuff like that anymore. And
Yeah.
it's something that I brought up with the Silent Hill 2 remake that they're doing. That like I don't want them to give me a third person camera. I don't want a good camera. I want the old camera. It was a big part of the game.
Yeah.
Like Silent Hill 2, a lot of its atmosphere and stuff like that was in the shots. And it's a thing of like functionally, would a third person camera be better from a gameplay standpoint? Yes. Would the end result of it be better? I don't think so. And, it's also a thing of like, uh, you may think me crazy for this, but I also want them to put tank controls back in if they're doing the forced camera angles, because that's the real fucking PS2 style horror feel, and also not hard to wrap your head around
Yeah.
without the camera moving. I mean,
That is very true.
because like tank controls when you have like I think that's why I dislike GTA 3 and like the I guess I don't even know. No, that's just GTA 3 now I think about it. But yeah, that's probably why part of why I dislike GTA 3 and like the new God of War. That's for the PS4 and stuff like that, is because they feel like they're using tank controls with an adjustable camera, and that feels like icky. I don't know what adjective to use. It feels like wrong. It's like, okay, so I get to choose between I get to choose between moving my character in a like in reference to the camera's position, or I get to move my character as if I was the character, and also the camera can be moved by me to accommodate that. And then those games are just like, okay, so move the character in the most unnatural way possible. Nobody fucking moves like this. When was the last time you saw someone strafing?
Never.
Like that's pretty much my point. Is like, from a gameplay standpoint, is it a sin that these games control it? No. From my enjoyment of the game standpoint, it is. I just get like I I vehemently enjoy the games less. I hope I'm using that word right, because sometimes my brain just spits out a word and it's like, okay, so this is what you want to use. I won't tell you why, but this is what you want to use. But yeah, like I really it really brings down my enjoyment of a game if it has the orientation of the player character tied to the camera, because it just feels bad. Why cannot I look
Yeah.
my character in the face? Or like God of War, it does it in a weird way where you can swivel the camera around to Kratos so you can look him in the eye. But the second you move, he just snaps. He teleports his back towards you. And like, I guess it is a thing of like, if I'm playing a shooter, in a shooter, this control scheme makes sense because I'm not really controlling the guy, I'm controlling the gun. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to put less importance on the character and more importance on the weapon, because and also you would have to aim the gun and stuff like that. God of War is a hack and slash. You can throw your X, but it's still a hack and slash. I don't need to aim my fucking X. Kratos does that. It's kind of it's in his animations. This is not Bushido Blade. Bushido Blade was fucking weird. I don't even remember. I'm probably wrong on this, but if I remember correctly, that game was a fighting game with tank controls, just to bring it around.
That sounds incredible.
It genuinely was a very nice game. Not like it wasn't Street Fighter. It was a separate. It was like its own thing, but it was a very fun idea and
Yeah,
well
yeah,
executed. So yeah, God of War, the first one. Once again, I like the fixed camera angles. I I like the I like I don't well I like how the combos are structured somewhat, I suppose, but I haven't unlocked everything yet, so I can't give a complete opinion on that. Man, the fucking sheer amount of booba.
oh boy.
Like the Oracle's ghost didn't need to have its tits out, especially when 20 minutes later you meet up with her and she doesn't. What
Well,
the
that's
fuck?
interesting.
Yeah, like they have two models for the same character. One is supposed to be like a force ghost projection type of the thing. Another is her actual body. In the post projection, she doesn't have a top on because why not?
Ghosts don't need tops, obviously.
Yeah, but they need bottoms. Those are necessary. Like it's one
Maybe
of
just
those
a bit.
it's one of those things where like if you want to show ghosts with nudity, then fucking go all out and just say, hey, clothing doesn't have a soul.
Clothing doesn't have a soul.
But like it's I suppose the best way to summarize my problem with this, and you will disagree because we're on the opposite ends of the spectrum, but to me it's like it's unnecessary fan service and it adds nothing to the game.
Right.
And like the game legitimately would not change if I didn't see any of these women's titties.
You're right there.
So like why if I fucking bother? It's
Because the
the
artists were bored and horny.
Yeah, but then we come around to like the Watch Dogs 2 debacle where they modeled women's vaginas for some reason.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then they had to patch it out because it turns out you could see that shit in the game.
What?
Yeah, if you enter the strip club, then you could actually see
Oh
the model.
no.
You could actually see the model vaginas.
Oh no.
So they had to patch that out.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah,
How did that get far enough to where it actually released in base game and had to be patched out?
it's Ubisoft, Pink.
That's a good
They
point.
they deal in sexual harassment. But yeah. Aside from that, it's been a game like both this and Devil May Cry. I'm just like, man, I need to finish these 3D hack and slash games. And I every time I look at them, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't feel like it. Like sure, like I could fight and lose to Virgil for the next 30 minutes, or I could not waste my time fighting Shadow. Because that's really the thing. Like I don't care about losing to Virgil, because whatever, fuck it. I'll learn how to beat him eventually. But it's having to beat Shadow first. That's the problem. Then I played Sly Cooper 2. I have completed the first episode, and people say it's a lot better than the first one. I don't know if I agree. It's
Mm,
it's taken the series in a way that, while not completely unprecedented, feels a bit too far fetched to me. Because the original game was a 3D stealth platformer with collectible elements. Because that's 3D platformers. Like
yeah.
Mario 64 birthed the 3D platformer genre, and no one tried to fucking improve upon it for a long while, and then until eventually Sly Cooper fucking morphed shit into Assassin's Creed. I am not kidding. It actually seems to be that way. Like it's like Mario 64, Sly Cooper, Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, and then I don't know what comes next. I guess Ghost of Tsushima. Funnily enough,
Yeah.
I was like, I would legitimately describe Assassin's Creed as a 3D platformer, and
Yeah.
and I
That's
would
fair.
feel no shame. but but yeah,
I can agree to that. Yeah.
So the second game, the second Sly Cooper has a lot more emphasis on fighting. It has an actual fighting mechanic, and I don't know if I liked it, because in the first game had a fighting mechanic, but it was very rudimentary. It was only what you needed because it's a stealth game. You shouldn't be getting into fights. So it was a thing of like, okay, you get spotted. All right, cool. So either you get shot and die, or you hit the other guy first and they die. And I like that because, you know, well, for one, once again, it's a very fast thing. It's fasting if you get spotted. It's a very rudimentary thing. It puts the focus on the stealth, whatever, yada yada. Also, it reminds me of Contra because my preferred form of difficulty is everyone dies in one hit. Fuck everyone. Just dodge, coward.
Just dodge, rookie.
Yeah. So yeah. Uh, that and then in Sly 2, they made it so Sly has more hit points, and you don't need to collect 100 coins to get an additional hit point. Because you could get up to 3 hits in a life if you collected 200 coins or found horseshoes on the maps.
Oh,
But in Sly 2, you have a health bar, you have combos. Well, you have a combo and you have an insta kill technically. There is also a combo for some fucking reason.
interesting.
Yeah, like if you think of like you have your insta kill. You have a stealth insta kill that takes 2 inputs. So if you forget to do one of them, fuck you, I guess.
I guess so.
But yeah, so that and also like the other characters, it feels like they wanted to like they added Sly's friends as playable characters, and they continue the characterization they had in Slide 1 mostly. Murray is a changed character. He is completely the opposite of what he used to be. He used to be a big fucking scaredy cat, just like okay, not completely, I suppose, but he ran from people. He didn't fight them, whatever. He was a coward. He wasn't a scaredy cat
Yeah,
because he was a coward. And in Slide 2, he's just like, I will rip out the evildoer's spines. And then he does the fucking Bane backbreaker on the level boss.
I like it.
And it's like uh, Bentley stayed the same, Slide stayed the same. What the fuck happened to Marie between the two games? Also, his voice changed. I don't know if they changed the voice actor completely, or if they just asked them to do a different voice, but his voice changed, and that bothers me because he sounds like Patrick Star now. But yeah, Sly Cooper is an open zone game. Fuck you, Sonic Frontiers. You're not the first one.
Open zone game?
Yeah, that's the best way I can put it. So, the open zone is a thing that Sega came up with for Sonic Frontiers, where they have an open world ish hub that you can run around freely, and then you also have missions in it. Allegedly, I don't know. Frontiers is not out yet, and so I haven't seen footage or played it. But Sly Cooper works the exact same way. So fuck you, Sonic Frontiers. You're not the first one. The episodes in Sly Cooper are an open worldish hub with separate missions that you can do in the hub. Usually, like it's very rare that I feel like 3 missions out of like 7 in the first episode. I don't know about the rest, but yeah, it's kind of rare to actually like leave the open world hub to do missions. It's just like they spawn in the necessary assets and stuff like that to do the mission. And this has its upsides and downsides. It makes the world flow better into each other. It's less arcadey and stuff like that. It also kind of loses a bit of charm to me because it's like, well, actually, it's a conundrum, I suppose. So in the original game, you had a hub world, and you had the separate levels on the hub worlds, and then you just you chose which hub world to go to. It works similarly in this game, and similarly to the first game, the whole thing is stealth based. But I guess the difference to me is that in the original game, you have, I don't even know what to compare it to. But you played Mario 64, so imagine if the first level of Bob on Battlefield was the hub, and then the additional stuff The additional missions were through doors in Babylon Battlefield.
Okay.
So that's how the first game worked. In Sly Cooper, or whatever, the Sly 2, because they removed the Cooper.
Cooper is no more.
Yeah. In Sly 2, your hub is Babylon Battlefield, but the additional stuff is just like is a more modern mission marker. So instead of running it against Cooper the Quick and stuff like that, you have to walk up to Cooper the Quick and talk to him, and he's just there always, waiting for you to talk to him. So it's one thing. It's a thing of like, did they improve upon the 3D platformer collectathon genre as a thing? Yes, but it's a thing of like, it is literally the missing link between the genre that I wish I liked and the genres that I know I like. But it gives me this fucking feeling of, I don't know, doorlessness. I have to create that picture for you so you'll understand. But like, it gives me this weird feeling of like, this is somehow neither of the things that I like. Like, this is not the thing that I want to like. Nor is it the thing that I like. It's just sort of in the middle between the two, and it's not great. Like, it was a necessary awkward step, and I imagine it did a lot for the genre. But I kind of preferred Sly 1 because it felt like it knew what it had to do better, at least thus far. But then also, I think of another thing is that, like, in the first game, you have 2 hub worlds per episode. One with 5 missions and one with 3 missions. In this game, you have the same hub world for seemingly 10 missions. So the time you spend in the hub world is a lot longer. In the one same hub world is a lot longer, or at least it feels like that. So that might also be my problem. And that's Sly, I suppose. Let me see if I can find a picture for doorlessness. Yes. Immediately, the first thing that comes up is meaning. All right. So yeah, this is from a this is a shitty meme that I found that has all of the ones, but I don't know. I'll put it into recording.
All right.
Into text. But yeah. So this is from a video where it's like we've introduced new emotions: doorlessness, nage, humber, veneration, punish, and stuff like that. And like, yeah, the Sly Cooper Sly 2 is making me feel doorless when I play it. If that makes sense to you with this picture.
That is incredible.
Isn't it? I'll see if I can find the original video and then send it your way, because it's great. It's all an analog horror, but yeah. So yeah, that's Sly 2. Remember when I said, hey, if all of my criticism stuff, I just get out of the way on the podcast? Yeah. What the fuck else did I play? Dragon Quest. I played Dragon Quest.
That sounds familiar.
It is the other big RPG series next to Final Fantasy. In fact, I think it's bigger in Japan than Final Fantasy.
Oh.
So, Dragon Quest 9 was added to PS Plus. It sure is Quest with dragons. No, but it's...
Are you sure about that?
No, actually genuinely not. I have yet to see a dragon. But no, the reason it's called Dragon Quest is because Dragon Ball author Toriyama, I think that's his name. Whatever. He makes he designs the characters.
Ah.
Yeah, and the world generally. Like, really, the Dragon Quest is just Dragon Ball the RPG, more or less.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest Nine's protagonist is Future Trunks. Straight
Okay.
up, pretty much, just Future Trunks. And it's a game. Like, I wanted to play through this game because I still haven't started up Yakuza 7, but Yakuza 7 licensed out the combat mechanic from this game. So I
Oh.
was so I was like, hey, I can get some practicing without actually having to play Yakuza.
Yeah.
And I I don't know if it's the world or if it's the combat mechanic or if it's both, but then, something is really not clicking. I just don't care about anything that's happening. Like the enemies, I look at the enemies that I'm fighting and I'm like, other guys would love this, because like, honestly, I can just send you one of them. I found this one. It's a low level creature that I have to fight. And I feel like both of you would love this thing. So this, my friend, is a bunnycorn.
That is pretty incredible. It looks like he's got a. Why am I failing? Why my brain is failing me? It looks like he's got an ice cream cone on his head.
Yeah, and stuff like this. And I look at these and I'm like, the other guys would love this. I don't care. this is this is filling me with nothing. It is filling me with Trantinus. Maybe even Lorik. I think that's what that says.
Yeah, I like Teluge.
Yeah. I feel like I should cut these out and just add them to the Discord as emotes. But anyway, so far, I run a two-handed sword build because it kills most things in one hit. That's it. Cut down on
I
fights.
like it.
I have been grinding so I can be over leveled, but it's a thing of like. But like, actually, no. Genuinely, I think the reason that I don't care, or genuinely the reason I think I'm not enjoying this, is because I don't care about the story, and I play RPGs for the story because that's generally where they shine. The
Yeah.
combat mechanics, like I can enjoy turn-based combat, which is a weird thing to say because I generally dislike turn-based combat and I like Persona despite of it. But you know, at the same time, sometimes I'm just like, I want to play a turn-based or JRPG. Like there are times when I'm just like, I need to play Final Fantasy VII right now, and then I don't because it's 500 hours and I don't want to.
Too much commitment there.
Yeah, but yeah, so like I can enjoy the mechanic, but I need something to catch on to, and so far it's just been very generic, medieval fantasy with Dragon Ball aesthetic. Okay, I don't like medieval fantasy. I don't like Dragon Ball. Like at least with Chrono Trigger. I wish that game got fucking remake like this. Cause like that game should not be an action game. That game was fine being a turn-based RPG, but it's. But I don't actually know. It's once again, it's a thing of like, I would just like to play Chrono Trigger officially on anything that's not a PC or a phone with graphics that don't
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
And like the old, and I point out that the graphics shouldn't suck because the original game looked fine, and then they keep applying filters to it. So like, either just give me the fucking the crisp pixel look of the ROM and just put that onto PS5, or remake it like this. I don't care. Maybe do both because they did both for this game. You can see in Dragon Quest 6 or whichever one I'm playing. Actually, it might be 9. Whatever, fuck it. In whichever Dragon Quest this is, you can switch between playing the game in 3D or playing the game in 2D with the original sprites seemingly just upscaled. Or rather, I guess the sprite rate would have been redone, so it's HD, but it's still the same sprites. They just traced them over at a higher
Yeah.
res, so it's not fuzzy. And like that shit would fucking kill with Chrono Trigger. That game is fire. And the reason Square doesn't refuses to do it is because Square sucks.
Oh, I know that.
Uh, but yeah, like it's a very generic chosen one medieval fantasy stories thus far, and you know, like I can like the chosen one narrative. I can like medieval fantasy. I can like both at the same time. Give me something interesting with it though.
Yeah.
Like thus far, it's just been like people. All right, go to kingdom. Cool. Here,
Yeah.
horse. They just randomly gave me a horse for no fucking reason, really. My character is probably like 12. How is a 12-year-old going to take care of a horse?
Now that is an excellent question.
Because, like, you know, the game starts off with you going through your coming of age ceremony, but also it's the medieval ages. I don't know when coming of age ceremonies were held, but like at like least at 17 is the earliest I could come up with, you know.
Yeah.
And then once again, it's a thing of like, is a 17-year-old going to actually take care of a horse? I don't think
No.
so. But yeah, that's Dragon Quest. I also downloaded GTA Vice City Definitive Edition. I haven't played it yet because
Fair.
legitimately the reason that I haven't played it yet is because I am scared that it will break my console. So I probably won't even play it at all. Shit! I can just stream it. It can't break my console if it's not mine. There we go.
Yes. Loopholes.
I mean, that's the thing. Like Sony set up the streaming thing that you can do with it. So fuck it. I'll just play it through that.
Yeah.
It
Why
shouldn't hurt my PC or my console. So that's cool.
I like it.
Yeah. I feel like I played something else, but I don't remember what. Like I genuinely remember playing a game and being like, I'm going to forget to talk about this, and here we are. Uh, well, oh yeah, Connect Tank, the game I referenced earlier. I
Yeah.
I beat one of the routes, I guess. I don't know. So how the game works is you do missions for one of three people, I guess, organizations, and there's a bar that fills for that organization if you do a mission for them, but the other twos go down usually. So the game is a roguelike, or a roguelite actually. So I was like, okay, I don't know what this does. I'm gonna go hard into one guy and then see if anything happens, because roguelikes don't usually tend to have a very definitive ending. Weirdly
Yeah.
enough, this game did. And
Oh.
then and after that it's like, okay, so now you can just fuck all of that up. Go ahead. Like, technically the ending is definitive in the sense that, you know, there's no big overarching story, but there is no big overarching story. It's not like Hades where it's like, okay, I need to go and talk with my mom. It's the story of the game is you're running a company, a delivery company with tanks.
I like it.
these organizations, these companies are uh contracting you so that you will deliver whatever materials or whatever they need delivered to places outside of their control, pretty much.
Right.
So there's not much overarching narrative that you could have anyway. They still have characterization with the company's leaders and stuff like that. And like once again, the guy that I played with, because you have a socialist penguin, you have a capitalist cat, and you have an artsy lizard. Those are your three choices.
I like it.
So I went with the lizard, and the lizard ending was just like, all right, so now we throw a big party, and then fucking set fire to the museum you spent building. that wasn't part of the story. I did that. But yeah, I also liked how you do the story missions actually factors into what they say though, because like uh for example, I got half of the way there for the capitalist cat uh through its bar, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to work for this guy anymore because the other people, like, you only start only having only being able to work for the cat, and then you unlock the other two as you continue the story. And I was like, okay, I don't want to work for this guy anymore. I'm gonna work for that guy. And some of my missions were destroying the stuff I built for the cat. Then once I went back to working with the cat, now that I finished it with the lizard guy, the cat is like, well, someone destroyed this thing, so we have to rebuild it. So I like that. And then I think that might be it for video games. For art, it's not much. I went back and redid the shading on my avatar. I don't know if you noticed. Probably not, because it's
I was
small.
gonna ask you about that yesterday when we started recording. You said
Okay.
your avatar was different.
Yeah, like I like this avatar, so I'm not changing it a whole lot. Like that's why I kept around the background and I kept the pose and stuff like that even when I redrew it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't I wasn't satisfied with the lighting or the shading. I guess I thought it was too flat, so I went back with my very soft shading and just did it like that. And I was like, fuck it, I don't care if it looks like Satan, not Satan, Satan.
Satan.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
yeah,
care if this illustration looks like the devil.
yeah.
It's fine.
But yeah, in the end, it turned out very nice in my opinion. It's I don't know if I'd call it realistic, but it's probably as close as I'll get for now.
Yeah.
The lighting or shading is still one of those things where like shading is one of the things that I excel at the most in my opinion. At the same time, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so there's a 50% chance that whatever I make will end up fucking horrible. Like when I get the shading right, it looks really good. And then there's also the other 75% of the time, and it's like, why? What?
Why? Just why? Why have you done this?
Yeah. But so, uh, I looked up some tips about cell shading, and like weirdly enough, I looked up. I got suggested the YouTube algorithm gave me a video about explaining cell shading and how that works and why that works and all that stuff and why you should use it for animation. And then in the middle of the video, the person talking about it is just like, okay, so let's explain soft shading, which wasn't advertised, but hey, that helps me. But yeah, so I'm trying out, or I tried out a new brush uh for pretty much everything. Like everything you see here is the same brush, and I tried to do a
Yeah.
more cel shady look. I don't know. I painted this but with hand, which is very rare. Usually I do it with I have this paint bucket tool where I need to draw around stuff. Like it just basically circles the stuff in it. It just paints it in whatever color I have selected, and that's a very good lazy way to color.
Ah, I like it.
Yeah, if you switch over to what I'm using, I can just send it over and you can use it too. I don't think I can send it over to whatever you're using right now though.
Probably not.
Either way, uh, you can tell that I colored this with hand because I go out of the line, and I was too lazy
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
and I was too lazy to actually like clear or fucking tidy it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that this is fine. I don't know how much I like it in the end, but it's like it's a thing of this is not the brush or whatever, the pen that I usually use for the line work or anything really. This is a new thing that I use for everything, the same thing. So like, you know, I don't know. It's fine, but is it though? Is what goes through my head when I look at it.
Right, right. I got you. I think it looks nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But like it's a thing of like I've been using the same brush since I bought it when they had the here I have premium currency for free because we were having fucking an event on my thing. So,
Mhm.
so I still have premium currency from left from that. That's nice. That was really nice of them. And then they just went, okay, so we gave you money now give us your money. Just fucking change the license agreement.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, uh, I've been using that brush ever since. I really like that brush, but the problem with it is that on the default settings, it looks very nice, but it's coloring it is a pain in the ass because it's slightly transparent.
Oh.
Yeah, and like even if you go like I would need to like go over everything scribbling in hard to make things not be transparent. And that bothers me in finished drawings because you can see where the colors end or don't end.
Yeah.
And then I can set it up so it isn't transparent, but then it also loses a bit of its texture. And I have yet to figure out how to rectify this issue.
Right.
So yeah, like my art will be like my art will be in a constant state of change for a while just because I'm just like, well, I don't know what brushes to use right now. I have like 15 downloaded and I don't use half of them. In fact, I only use like 3, but and then there's also the thing of like I once again I'd like to learn how to paint characters, and I can paint one character, Kermit, because he's easy. but but anything past that, and it's just like I don't know where shit is. Like, the weirdest part is when it comes to shading and stuff like that. I think about how you paint the stuff in because that's like it's the same thing that you have to think about. Like when when you have to shade in a part, like the area under the brow, for example.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing that with cell shaded stuff or soft shading or painting, doesn't fucking matter because you're shading the same thing. So
Yeah.
like the technically the form might change a small bit, but not too much, honestly.
True.
But
Yeah.
but in theory, all of painting should just work like that. But it doesn't. Not for me. So like it's a thing of like, okay, so but I think actually now that I think about it, I think I found the answer of why I don't understand painting. It's the layers. You're supposed to build up the layers. My brain doesn't work like that. It has to go like invert from the middle of the face outward. So it's like, okay, so we have the basic part of the face established. Then we can move on to stuff like, okay, so this is where the fucking the skin has wrinkles or whatever. But in painting, it's the opposite way. It's like, okay, so this is where the head is. This is where the wrinkles are, and then at the end you're just like, okay, so eyes are here somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how I'd actually fix that.
I've got no clue. I'm not a painter,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Then I've even looked at tutorials, and they usually don't talk about like character art for that sort of stuff, or like portraits or like I could look up portrait stuff specifically or whatever, but I feel like the problem I have is more on the basics level of painting than the actual portrait stuff, because like I could figure it out eventually if I knew the basics, but
Yeah.
and technically in theory I do know the basics, I just can't utilize them for some reason. So but like I watched a painting tutorial and they used a draw or a picture of an apple and they replicated that, and they were just like, okay, so you draw the sketch. They drew the sketch. It looked like a sketch. Looked like a sketch. Then you do the bottom layer, which is the base color. All right, makes sense. Then you do the highlights and then you do the shadows. Makes sense. Okay, when do I add the face? Like the once again the thing is like I can do the broad strokes. I can do the blocking in of the form and stuff like that, and then the white shading, or I can do the detail work. I can put in the eyes and the nose and stuff like that and all that. I can't do both for some reason, which makes no sense. I don't know. What are your experiences with painting like that? If you've tried.
I've not dabbled in painting like whatsoever. Painting is not my strongest suit at all. Never got the hang of it. Never bothered to try to get the hang of it afterward.
I mean, depending on whether you're talking about digital or analog. If it's analog, you can just build up a fuck ton of gesso, and then
I don't know what that means. That's why I'm not a painter.
I'm gonna look up if I'm using this right term because I hope it is. But if I am correct, gesso is the texture of paint, a hard compound of plaster of Paris and whiting in glue. Uses sculpture as a base for gilding or planting of wood. Okay, so technically no, but sort of. It is. So yes, gesso can be in paint, and there's this term I'm looking for, but basically there's a style of painting where you have a very thick paint, and you apply a lot of paint to the canvas, and it doesn't fucking matter what you do with your brush or whatever you're using to apply it, because you're kind of just guiding forms more than you are actually putting down paint. Like you're not really you're not really painting, or I don't know if I'd say you're not really painting, because you are painting. It's just not in the traditional way. You're not,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not painting in the traditional way. You're moving a palette around to form something, form of visual, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
some people can make portraits and stuff like that out of that, and most other people just fucking you know do like what you call it, radiance and stuff like and like uh textures and things like that with it. And just or whatever the fuck I'm looking for is also a big part of or can be a big part of normalish paint, because there's people there's maniacs who do normal oil painting, and then they're like, okay, you know what this needs? 5 more layers, and then they
20 more layers. It'll be
yeah,
fine.
and then they just build layers up until the painting is 3D pretty much. And the weirdest part is sometimes it works,
Indeed.
but yeah. So yeah, like my relationship with art is weird because like I have theoretical knowledge about many different facets. I suppose I have physical knowledge or whatever, like actual usable knowledge of pretty much none of them. Like drawing, I've been drawing for 2.5 years now. I think I started in May. I don't know when May is. Shit. But yeah, I think it should qualify as 2.5 years. So I've been drawing for two and a half years. I can do drawings all right. I don't know. I wasn't satisfied with how just face turned out in the Castlevania thumbnail, for example.
Ha.
Like she just said, his nose is too big, pretty much. But yeah, like I know some stuff about how you draw. That's it. Like yeah, I suppose in music, uh, I can somewhat keep a rhythm. Like within two beats per minute, I can keep a rhythm. So that's cool. But that's pretty much it. Aside from that, I don't have skills in anything. But yeah, and then I believe that's all I've done. So with that said,
Podcast?
Pink,
Yeah.
bird up.
I don't know what that means.